Now the game uses 3 different control schemes, 1 being the Wiimote and Nunchuck, 2 the Wii Classic controller, and 3 a GameCube controller. Now, I'm going to be honest with all of you. For the best precision and accuracy in this game, you want to be using the Wii Classic controller. I mean, who would want to play a side-scroller where you use this? I mean, it's way too complicated. Whereas with the Wii Classic controller, you can get the best feel of what a side-scroller was like when you played a side-scrolling game from the late 80s and early 90s. Now, I know some of you might think, well, why not a GameCube controller? Well, here's my reason. Since the Virtual Console has so many retro games varying from Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, and the Super Nintendo, the best feel for a side-scroller is used when you play this. I mean, the game is very reminiscent of that. Here, let me show you.
Moving your character is done with the left control stick, and you can either crouch down on the ground or jump up in the air with it. But if you hold up after you jump up in the air, you can glide for a short amount of time. And if you tap up on the left control stick twice, then you can do a double jump. Your commands for the 4 buttons on the right are very simple. To attack enemies, you hit the B button. Now, in order to parry your enemy's attacks, you hold down on the B button, but be careful not to block too long, or else your blade will break. Not all is lost, as you can switch between your different blades with the touch of the left shoulder button. Depending if your blade indicators are shining, that means you can execute an all-out attack to do heavy damage on your enemies. It's very sick and awesome altogether. Now, if you want to get all nitty-gritty with damage on your foes, then hit the Y button to execute the blade's special ability. Oh, and by the way, there are melee attacks that require you to hold the left thumbstick in a certain direction and hold the B button at the same time. Some of these attacks are an uppercut slash, downward impalement from the air, a dash attack in the air, a quick kneeling pierce, and a jumping somersault slash. Once you end a battle, chances are you will lose some hit points, and you need to restore your health with quick progression. Luckily, you have a quick item inventory to help restore HP and soul power in a flash. Just select the item with the right shoulder button and press the X button to use it. Now the A button has no purpose in battle, but it is used to collect items that are lying around, confirm purchases from peddlers or restaurant huts, talking to people, skipping text, etc. Everything in the control setup gives the best experience in the game, and it is more sophisticated for a side-scroller like this. Now, was that too hard? When I first looked at the game, I was just blown away by the sheer beauty of the game's graphics. Aside from pixels or 3D objects, the character sprites and backgrounds look like they have been placed on a Japanese ink painting. They remind me of Okami with the ink and wash painting visuals, but more along the lines of it being animated in a 2D feel. The lighting effects and the composition in the backgrounds are well in place, and it truly defines the time of day, the weather being emitted, or the layout of what platforms you can walk across. That is all I have to say about the graphics. I mean, once you just take a look at the game, you are just like, wow! It looks so gorgeous. And I mean it too, because it truly gives the game a huge sense of depth. Now, when it comes to music, I always pray that it will make a game, and it certainly did for Muramasa the Demon Blade. The game's soundtrack is composed by the Japanese music company Bass Escape, whereas the lead composer is from Final Fantasy XII fame, aka Hitoshi Sakimoto. The many different instrumental arrangements made the game feel like you were in feudal Japan, and I really enjoyed it. The game's sound effects are implemented nicely, as they represent what they should be, from the sword slashes to the unsheathing of blades. The voice acting is a different story, as it's all done in Japanese. Now, I do have a problem about games being localized in English but with no English voiceover, but the Japanese voice acting sounded spectacular. Even if it did have English voiceovers, then it wouldn't matter because they would have both sounded incredible. Vanillaware was founded as an independent game development studio in 2002, and it was created by former members of Atlas when they worked on the Japanese Sega Saturn hit Princess Crown. Princess Crown was the first game in Vanillaware's game lineup to use side-scrolling and RPG elements into the gameplay. Not only that, but the folklore used in the game was loosely based on medieval Europe because of there being knights, wizards, and princesses in it. The game was released in the year 1997, and then the game was ported over onto the PlayStation Portable in 2005. But again, it did not receive a Western release. However, none was lost as Vanillaware made another game that was to be the second installment of Princess Crown, but the final product was later named Into Odin's Sphere for the PlayStation 2. Fans and followers of the first Princess Crown thought that Odin's Sphere was a spiritual successor to the original game, but its main emphasis in folklore was that of Norse mythology. Odin's Sphere made the light of day in 2007, and it was highly garnered by fans from both the East and West as a cult classic. Vanillaware was not done yet, as they were preparing for another game based on the Princess Crown format, but it was loosely based on Japanese mythology this time around. In this year of 2009, we are finally given the Wii exclusive title, Muramasa the Demon Blade. Like Odin's Sphere, Muramasa was thought of by fans from the past two games as another successor to the original Princess Crown. These hardcore fans still refer to all three games as the Princess Crown trilogy. Muramasa was a big departure from the RPG elements in the past games and more on action because of the ninjas and samurai. I can say that Vanillaware has the potential to dominate more game companies in the future with more titles along the format of Muramasa the Demon Blade. They are just simply amazing. After playing the game for nearly 20 hours, there weren't so many things that I found that were that bad, but every game does not get away scot-free from a few flaws. But these are only small flaws that hardly downgrade the game. First of all, I did not like the fact that there was so much backtracking that you had to do in most of the story acts. It felt like I was doing more of the same thing and less on exploring almost anything new. Another complaint that I have is the fact that hitting up is what makes your character jump. Why they did not use the B button to jump, the Y button to attack, and the X button for your special attack is beyond me. Finally, I felt that most of the provinces were reusing some of the same musical scores and they were just a bit monotonous. And there could have been a different tune for every stage. With over 60 songs, there could have been a few more to make the soundtrack more defiant. That is what I have wrong with this game, but as I said, these are complaints that are only small and minor. For all that I have said about the game, the final verdict is that the good qualities make the minor flaws seem like a shadow that is hidden away. I liked almost everything that this game had to offer. I mean, the story was incredible, despite the fact that neither Kisuke or Momohime's story had a proper climax. The concept was easily self-explanatory, the controls are solid for the classic controller, and the design was truly out of this world, and just being beautiful to look at. With the replay value being that high, I can say that I have had a blast with playing the game every single day to uncover new content. Even the music sound is so professional that it makes me envious of Bass Escape to reach the amount of professionalism that other famous composers like Nobuo Uematsu, Koji Kondo, Yoko Shimomura, and Motoi Sakuraba have. Even the sound effects and Foley effects were just impressive for a current generation exclusive title on the Wii. Also, the voice acting was at the height of its peak that it wouldn't matter if the game was dubbed either in Japanese or English alone. Everything makes the game look like it is a masterpiece for 2D gaming. Vanillaware has come out of the shadows of major developers, and they pump in high quality with their lineup of 2D titles, and Muramasa the Demon Blade is definitely no exception. While it may not have the huge popularity of the Super Mario and Legend of Zelda franchises, but popularity does not need to make a difference as long as there are a huge following of fans who come out and enjoy this game at their heart's content. This game is definitely a must-buy for those who own a Wii, and it is truly one of the best third-party titles that I have ever tried for Nintendo's current generation system. Just do yourself a favor that if you ever go back into Japan's past, then pack yourself a sword, ninja garb, and shurikens by kicking butt and remind yourself of what a great game this is, as it will be considered another cult classic for the many years to come. I am proud to give Muramasa the Demon Blade on the Wii a 9 out of 10.